If you want to start speaking English more confidently, your morning routine can change everything. In this video, Crystal shares her real story of how simple morning habits helped her stop forgetting words, reduce stress, and finally enjoy learning English. She'll show you the exact steps she used to make morning English practice easy, calm, and motivating, even if you're not a morning person. Try these tips tomorrow, and you'll feel the difference.
Part 1, My Story of Learning to Love Mornings. Hi everyone, it's Crystal. Today, I want to talk to you about something that completely changed the way I practice English, my morning routine. And trust me, I wasn't always that person who wakes up smiling and ready to learn. Actually, I used to be the opposite. I used to hate mornings. I would wake up tired, confused, and definitely not in the mood to speak any English. But everything changed when I realized one simple thing. The way you start your morning sets the tone for your whole day. So today, I want to share my journey with you, how I slowly created a calm, inspiring morning practice that helped me improve my English and feel more confident. And maybe it can help you too. Try some of these ideas tomorrow, okay? I still remember my worst mornings. I would wake up late, rush to get ready, and there was no space for English at all. If I tried to say something or think in English, I forgot half the words. I felt slow, I felt messy, and I thought maybe I'm just not good at learning languages. But that wasn't true. The real problem was that my mind was never in the right place. Imagine trying to plant flowers during a storm. Of course, nothing grows. It's the same with learning English. One day, after feeling especially overwhelmed, I decided to try something new. I told myself, okay, Crystal, let's change just one thing. Only one. And the thing I chose was listening to something in English right after waking up. Nothing big, no grammar book, no homework, no pressure, just a simple English podcast with a soft voice. I remember the first morning I tried it. I was still sleepy, my hair was a mess, the sun was barely rising, and there I was, listening to someone talk about morning habits in slow English. And you know what? It felt peaceful. It felt like my brain was waking up gently, like stretching after a long sleep. It wasn't stressful at all. And for the first time, English didn't feel like a responsibility. It felt like part of my morning. That little moment changed everything for me. And when I saw that it worked, I added more tiny steps. I didn't try to create a perfect routine in one day. I built it slowly with kindness, patience, and curiosity. In this video, I want to share all those steps with you. How I listen to podcasts, how I talk to myself in English, how I read small articles while drinking coffee, how I review words, how I practice pronunciation, and how I write a short morning journal. But before we go deeper, I want to be honest with you. In the beginning, I forgot words all the time. I would say things like, what's the word? The thing, the thing. I laughed at myself so much, and sometimes I wanted to quit. But I didn't, because every morning I reminded myself that progress doesn't come from big things. it comes from tiny, gentle habits. And slowly, the mistakes became smaller, the fear became lighter, and the confidence became stronger. So, welcome to my morning world. I hope that what helped me will help you too. And if you feel like you're not a morning person, believe me, I wasn't either. But together, step by step, we can make your mornings feel calm, warm, and full of English. Let's begin this journey. Part 2. Start your morning with English listening. So, let's start with the very first thing that helped me transform my mornings: listening. I know it sounds simple, maybe even too simple, but trust me, this one habit changed everything for me. And if you try it tomorrow morning, I'm pretty sure you'll feel a difference too. When I first started learning English in the morning, I didn't want anything difficult. My brain was still waking up, and honestly, I didn't want to think too hard. So I began with something very gentle: short English podcasts and soft morning videos. Nothing fast, nothing stressful, just easy, slow English. The first podcast I ever listened to in the morning was only 5 minutes long. The speaker talked about morning routines, and the way he spoke was calm and slow. I was half awake, lying in bed, and just letting the English wash over me. No pressure to understand every word, no responsibility, just listening. And that's exactly what I recommend for you too. Choose something soft, slow, and simple. Look for topics you enjoy: morning motivation, nature, simple stories, calming music with speaking. It doesn't matter, as long as it makes you feel peaceful. When you listen to English right after waking up, something interesting happens. Your mind is still quiet, not full of stress yet, so the language enters more naturally. It's like your brain is a clean white canvas and English becomes the first gentle brushstroke. In the beginning, I didn't understand everything, and that's okay. I want you to hear this clearly. You don't need to understand 100%. If you understand 60%, that's already amazing for the morning. The point isn't perfection. The point is exposure, waking your brain up with English sounds, intonation, and rhythm. After about a week of listening every morning, I started noticing something funny. Certain phrases began to repeat in my head during the day. I would be washing dishes or sitting on the bus, and suddenly I'd hear the podcast voice in my mind. Take a deep breath. Start your day with intention. It felt like English was becoming a part of my inner voice. And honestly, it felt magical. Sometimes I listened while making tea. Sometimes while stretching. Sometimes still under the blanket. And that's the beauty of this habit. You don't need to be perfect to do it. Just press play and let English be the first sound of your day. But yes, of course, there were difficult moments too. Some mornings I woke up grumpy, tired, or stressed. I didn't want to hear anything in any language, especially not English. On those days, I listened for just 1 minute. 1 minute. And then I stopped. Because 1 minute is still progress. 1 minute still tells your brain, hey, English is part of our morning. So if you ever feel that resistance, don't push too hard. Be kind to yourself. 1 minute is enough. Another thing I realized, listening in the morning helped me stop translating everything in my head. My brain became used to hearing English without panicking, without trying to solve every sentence like a puzzle. Morning listening trained me to feel the language, not just study it. After about a month, I noticed my speaking became smoother. I didn't forget words as often. I felt more natural, more confident. And yes, it all started from just listening in the morning. So tomorrow, when you wake up, try this. Before you grab your phone to look at messages, before you check social media, open something in English and press play. Even if it's just for a few minutes. Trust me, it really works. Part 3. Speaking to yourself in the morning. After I started listening to English every morning, I did something that felt, honestly, a little weird at first. I began talking to myself in English. I know. It sounds strange. When I tell people to speak to themselves, they always laugh or look confused. But listen, this habit is one of the most powerful tools I've ever used, and it completely changed the way I speak English. The first time I tried it, I was brushing my hair in front of the mirror. I looked at myself and said, quietly, "Good morning, Crystal." And then I froze. It felt funny, but also kind of nice. So I continued, "How did you sleep? Are you ready for today?" I laughed at myself because I sounded like I was hosting a morning show, but I kept going. And guess what? After a few days, it stopped feeling weird. It started feeling natural. Here's the secret. When you speak to yourself, you create a safe space. No fear, no judgment, no stress. It's just you and the language, like talking to a friend who understands everything. I started small, very small. I didn't try to make complicated sentences. My goal was to warm up my mouth, my tongue, my brain, just like stretching before a workout. So my morning sentences looked like this. Today I feel tired, but it's okay. I want to eat oatmeal for breakfast. The weather looks nice today. I hope I can finish my tasks. Simple, right? Super easy, but incredibly helpful. Over time, I realized that speaking to myself removed one of my biggest fears, the fear of making mistakes. When you talk to yourself, mistakes don't matter. They don't stop you. They don't embarrass you. They simply exist, and you move on. And here's something interesting. The more I spoke to myself in the morning, the more confident I felt speaking to others later in the day. My tongue was already awake. English didn't feel foreign. I didn't have that frozen moment when you try to find words and nothing comes out. I was already warmed up. Some mornings, I practiced little mini dialogues. I pretended I was ordering coffee. "Good morning. Can I have a small latte, please?" "Sure. Anything else?" "No, that's all. Thank you." Or I pretended I was at work. "Hi, can you help me with this file?" "Of course. Give me a second." "No problem. Take your time." It was fun, honestly, like a tiny acting session. And the more I did it, the more natural it became. But of course, there were days when my brain didn't cooperate. I opened my mouth and nothing. No ideas. No sentences. Just a very sleepy Crystal staring at the mirror. And that's perfectly normal. So here's what I did on those days. I described what I saw. "This is my face. I look sleepy. These are my pajamas. This is my cup. It's empty. And then, slowly, words started to come. Think of it like turning on a light. At first it's dim, but it gets brighter and brighter. One important thing I learned: your morning English doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to exist. Even 2 minutes of speaking to yourself can make a huge difference. And if you want a little push, try this tomorrow. Look into the mirror, smile just a little, and say, "Good morning. Today, I will speak English, even if I make mistakes." Believe me, that small sentence can set the tone for your entire day. Speaking to yourself may feel strange at first, but soon it will feel like your little secret superpower. Part 4: Morning Journaling. Writing your way into better English. After I got comfortable listening to English and speaking to myself in the mornings, I added another step that became one of my favorite habits: morning journaling. Now, I want to be completely honest with you. At first, I did not think journaling would help me. I thought it was too slow, too boring, too school-like. I remembered my high school homework, and I felt stressed just thinking about writing. But everything changed when I stopped treating journaling like an assignment and started treating it like a quiet conversation with myself. The first morning I tried it, I sat at my kitchen table with a cup of tea. My notebook was completely empty. The page looked so clean and scary. I had no idea what to write. So I told myself, "Okay, Crystal, no pressure. Just write one sentence." And that morning, I wrote, "I am tired, but I want today to be a good day." That was it. Only one simple sentence. But something beautiful happened. As soon as I wrote it, I felt calmer. I felt like I had opened a small door in my mind. So I wrote another sentence and another, and soon I had half a page filled with easy, everyday English. That's when I realized something important. Journaling is not about perfect grammar. It's about expressing yourself. Each morning, I wrote about things like how I slept, what I planned to do, what I was worried about, what made me excited, something small that made me smile. Here's an example of what my early journal entries looked like. I feel nervous today because I have a lot of work, but I also feel hopeful. I want to do my best. I want to learn something new today. Very simple, but also very honest. Some mornings, I didn't know what to write, so I used little prompts to help me start. Here are the ones I found most useful. Today, I want to. Right now, I feel. One small thing I'm grateful for is. Today, my plan is. Sometimes I only wrote 3 lines. Other times, I wrote 2 full pages. The important thing was consistency, showing up every day, even for 5 minutes. But let me tell you about the best part. After a few weeks, I looked back at my older pages and I was shocked. My writing had improved so much without me even noticing. My sentences became longer, my vocabulary grew, my grammar mistakes slowly disappeared. I sounded more confident, more natural, more English thinking, if that makes sense. One day, I even wrote this. I used to be afraid of writing, but now it feels like a peaceful morning ritual. And it was true. Journaling didn't feel like studying anymore. It became something soft and personal, something I actually enjoyed. I also noticed that writing in the morning helped me speak better later in the day. Why? Because journaling organized my thoughts. When I wrote about my plans or feelings, I practiced the same vocabulary I would use in real conversations. It's like preparing your brain before talking to someone. Of course, I made mistakes, many mistakes. Some mornings I looked at my sentences and thought, Crystal, what were you trying to say? But that's the magic. Nobody sees your journal. Mistakes are allowed. Mistakes are welcome. Mistakes help you grow. If you want to try journaling tomorrow morning, here's a little exercise that helped me. Write 3 sentences. What you feel right now, what you want today, one small positive thought. That's it, just 3. Try it tomorrow, okay? Trust me, this tiny habit can make your English feel more natural, peaceful, and even enjoyable. Part 5. Morning vocabulary practice that actually works. After journaling became a comfortable part of my mornings, I started thinking about the next step in my routine. I always knew that vocabulary was my weak point. I understood a lot of words when I heard them, but I couldn't use them when I needed them. It was frustrating. Sometimes I felt like the words were sleeping in my brain and I couldn't wake them up. So I decided to try something very simple, a short, gentle morning vocabulary practice. Not 30 minutes, not a long study session, just 5 to 7 minutes right after journaling while my mind was still calm and open. Let me tell you how it looked for me in the beginning. First, I made a small list in my notebook called Words I Want to Use Today. Sometimes it was 3 words, sometimes 5, never more than that. For example, one morning my list looked like this: confident, prepare, focus, comfortable. These were words I already knew, but I didn't use them often. They felt foreign in my mouth. I wanted them to become natural. Instead of memorizing definitions, I created mini sentences, really tiny ones. I want to feel confident today. I will prepare my tasks first. I need to focus on one thing. I feel comfortable this morning. Very easy, right? But so powerful. Because when you write or say these sentences, you're teaching your brain, use this word in daily life. The next step was something I call micro dialogues. This was fun. Every morning, I imagined a 15-second conversation. For example, A, how do you feel today? B, I feel more confident. I prepared everything last night. Or A, what's your plan? B, I want to focus on work first, then relax. These were fictional, simple, and sometimes silly, but they helped me practice vocabulary in a way that felt real, like I was training for real conversations. And yes, in the beginning, I felt awkward. I remember standing in my kitchen one morning whispering to myself, Crystal, this is ridiculous. You're talking to imaginary people. But after about 2 weeks, something amazing happened. I noticed that these same words started appearing naturally in my day. I didn't have to search for them. I didn't have to push myself. I just opened my mouth and they were there. It felt like magic, but it was simply consistent morning training. Another thing that helped me was listening repetition. Sometimes during breakfast, I played a short audio, maybe a podcast sentence or a YouTube clip, and repeated one or two phrases aloud. Just one or two, never too much. For example, that sounds interesting. Let me think about it. I'm not sure yet. Little everyday phrases that make conversations easier. I also created a small, quick review system. Day 1, learn or repeat 3 to 5 words. Day 2, review them once. Day 3, review again. Day 4, probably you already remember them. Simple, zero stress. Before this habit, I tried memorizing 20 to 30 words in the morning. I failed every time. The problem wasn't me, it was the pressure. When you remove pressure, your brain learns faster. And now I want to give you a small challenge for tomorrow morning. Try this simple routine. Choose 3 English words you like. Write one mini sentence for each. Create a 10 to 15-second imaginary dialogue using at least one word. Repeat the sentences softly while you prepare your breakfast. That's all. Try it tomorrow, okay? Trust me, these tiny morning practices helped me speak more naturally, and they can help you too. Part 6. How my morning routine changed my English and my life. When I look back at my old mornings, it almost feels like I'm looking at a different person. I used to wake up tired, stressed, and already feeling behind. My English practice was something I avoided. It felt like homework, something I should do, not something I enjoyed. I remember those mornings when I sat with my coffee and stared at my notebook, thinking, why am I not improving? Why does speaking still feel so hard for me? And now my mornings feel like a soft beginning instead of a battle. The biggest change wasn't my vocabulary or my grammar or even my pronunciation. The biggest change was how I felt about learning English. For the first time, I started to enjoy the small things. The quiet sound of early morning, the first sip of warm tea, the smell of my breakfast, the soft pages of my journal. And little by little, English became part of that peaceful moment. It stopped being a challenge. It became a companion. Let me tell you a small story. About 2 months after I started this morning routine, I had a Zoom call with a colleague. Normally, I was nervous before meetings. I always prepared notes, sentences, even full paragraphs. But that day, I didn't prepare anything. I didn't even think about preparing. The meeting started, and I just talked naturally, calmly, without searching for words. I remember finishing the call and sitting quietly for a moment. I whispered to myself, wow, that was me. Not a perfect me, not a native level me, just a relaxed and confident version of myself. This was the moment I realized something important. You don't become confident by waiting for confidence. You become confident by creating tiny moments of success every day. And my morning routine gave me those moments. Not big victories, not huge changes, just small, gentle wins. Writing a simple journal page, repeating 3 useful words, speaking a short imaginary dialogue, listening to a calm podcast while eating breakfast, reading one small paragraph from an article, practicing one sentence out loud. Tiny actions, but they added up. And here's something else I noticed. I stopped being afraid of mistakes. Before, I was terrified of sounding silly. I worried that people would judge my accent or think I was slow. But each morning I practiced speaking softly to myself, I became kinder to my own voice. I learned how I sound when I'm relaxed, and I learned to like that voice. One day, I even laughed at myself because I mispronounced a simple word. Before, that mistake would ruin my mood. Now, it was just funny. That's when you know you're growing. I also started enjoying English outside of my practice time. I wrote grocery lists in English. I described my walk in English. I even talked to my plants in English. Yes, you heard that right. And they never complained. Most importantly, I became more patient with myself. And if you're listening to this video right now, I want you to remember something. Your English doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be a little better than yesterday. And you can do that, especially in the morning. If you try even one small part of this routine tomorrow, repeating a phrase, writing 3 sentences, reading for 1 minute, you're already moving forward. And that's enough. You don't need motivation. You just need small habits. And small habits create big changes. So, tomorrow morning, when the sun rises and the world is still quiet, take one tiny step in English. Just one. And trust me, it will change you more than you think.